It stretched nearly the length of a modern skyscraper laid on its side, about 450 feet long and 75 feet across. 3 towering levels rising like a timber mountain in the middle of dry land. Scripture gives every measurement with exact detail, yet it leaves out the one thing every builder would ask. How does a man create something so massive? Nothing explains how to chop down trees that reach the sky, or how to drag trunks that weighed more than the homes of the very men who mocked him. No ancient manual teaches how to join enormous beams without iron, or how to make a structure watertight against a disaster the world had never even imagined. God gave Noah the order, but not the blueprint. So Noah, standing alone in a world spiraling into corruption, had to learn how to turn a heavenly command into a physical reality. For decades, he woke up with the same burden burning in his mind and aching in his hands. Build the largest vessel humanity had ever seen. No engineers, no metal tools, no textbooks, only faith, a bronze blade, and the stubborn courage of a man who refused to doubt God's voice. Meanwhile, the people around him laughed, pointed, whispered, "Who builds a ship where no sea exists?" Yet Noah pressed on because the command was clear, even if the method wasn't. God told him only one thing: here are the dimensions. Now build it. No location, no surface preparation, no construction technique, nothing more. So Noah studied the land. He imagined the massive hull stretched across the soil like a sleeping giant. A vessel so large demanded space, real space. The ground had to be open, stable, firm enough to hold a structure wider than city streets. Before the first tree was touched, Noah had to fight his first enemy, the earth itself. He needed ground that wouldn't crack, tilt, or betray the weight of thousands of tons of wood. He searched for a broad plain, not far from the forest, yet safe from shifting slopes, and close enough to water for daily life. But the world before the flood was unlike ours. Rain didn't fall. The land drank moisture only from a thick morning mist, and by noon the sun baked everything bone dry. Tools cracked, soil split. Dust rose like smoke and settled into every crack of wood and skin. So Noah improvised. Simple shelters of branches to tame the heat, stone markers to outline the ark's footprint, light wooden barriers to keep dust from bearing the leveled earth. With the sun punishing his back, he dug, smoothed, and carved the ground into a foundation that could hold the impossible. Meanwhile, the neighbors kept watching, shaking their heads. To them, the sight was madness, a man preparing a shipyard in a valley without water. But Noah wasn't building for the world that existed. He was building for the world that was about to vanish. When the ground was finally ready, the true labor began. Wood, more wood than any man had ever gathered. Hundreds, maybe thousands of trees, ancient cypress giants that had stood for centuries. Felling one was a battle. A bronze axe dulled fast. Every swing burned the arms. Every strike stung the hands. Hours of work left only a groove along the bark. Noah and his sons likely took turns, striking in rhythm so that the tree would give way without killing them in its fall. When the giant began to lean, the most dangerous moment arrived: the fall itself. A 60-foot tree crashing to earth could flatten an ox. They would have needed ropes, wedges, direction, and prayer. And once the tree hit the ground with a thunderous echo, the challenge only transformed. Now they faced an unmoving giant, a trunk weighing several tons. No wheels, no cranes, not enough animals to pull something so massive. Their only hope was the method ancient civilizations used for moving enormous stones: wooden rollers, smaller logs placed beneath the trunk, ropes tied around the front. Men pulling while others snatched the rollers from behind and placed them atop the path ahead. It worked, but only at the cost of sweat, burned muscles, and risk. The terrain itself was an enemy, a hidden dip, a rock buried beneath the soil, a sudden decline in the land. Any mistake could send a log tumbling into a ravine or crushing the workers. So Noah prepared long trails week after week, smoothing paths, removing stones, cutting roots, making roads wide enough for men to maneuver. No rain ever helped, only sun, heat, and dust. Even with rollers, Noah and his 3 sons couldn't haul these monsters alone, so workers were almost certainly hired. Many would come out of curiosity, others for coin. None of them believed Noah, but all of them knew the pay was real. They helped drag the timber, knowing a single accident could be deadly. When the logs arrived, they were stacked with spaces between them so the hot breeze could dry them. While some wood cured, Noah returned to the forest to cut more. The work seemed endless. Cut, drag, dry, repeat. But soon the biggest challenge arrived, raising the skeleton of a ship the size of a fortress. A wooden mountain had to rise from the earth without leaning, breaking, or sinking. The heart of any ship is the keel, the spine. Noah needed a keel nearly 450 feet long. No tree was anywhere close, so he had to join multiple massive beams with perfect precision, male and female joints, locked with hardwood pegs hammered into place. If the keel warped even slightly, the ark would tear itself apart. Then came the ribs, curved beams forming the hull. Bending wood that thick required ancient ingenuity, heat, steam, fibers soaked in water. Each rib had to be softened, bent slowly, held in place, and left to cool. Any crack meant weeks of lost labor. Dozens of ribs, all spaced perfectly, rising like the bones of a giant whale. Noah likely used ropes stretched across the ground as guides, stake markers, stone plumb lines. But even with geometry, raising multi-ton beams demanded brute force. Ropes, levers, shouting, sweat. Next came cross braces, diagonals forming triangles, the strongest shape known to ancient builders. Inside the ark grew a framework so interlocked that it resembled a wooden fortress rather than a boat. When the great skeleton stood complete, the real test arrived, sealing it. God had commanded, pitch it inside and out. Double protection. Pitch was boiled resin mixed with thick oils, a smoking, toxic mixture that burned skin and lungs. Outside work was harsh, but inside the ark, fumes collected like poison. Workers had to escape for air, return, apply layer after layer, repeating the cycle for days, maybe months. They sealed every crack, testing joints with thin slats to find the smallest leak. One flaw could doom everyone. When the pitch hardened black under the ancient sun, the ark finally breathed like a sealed vessel, but it was still only a hollow shell. Noah now had to fill it with an organized structure capable of sustaining life. 3 levels, compartments, literally nests, according to the Hebrew. Without compartments, predators would slaughter prey and disease would spread like fire. The layout required intelligence. Heavy animals on the lowest floor for stability, elephants, rhinos, hippos. Medium animals on the second, the smallest on top. But the greatest overlooked problem was waste. Thousands of animals producing waste daily with no modern drains. Without a solution, the ark would become toxic in weeks. So Noah likely built floors with slight slopes, directing liquids toward channels carved into the planks. Simple openings that would allow waste to drain once the ark floated. Next, ventilation. Scripture mentions one upper window, but one opening could not renew the air of 3 colossal levels. So Noah likely added side apertures under protective overhangs. Wooden lips that blocked dust and later rain, but allowed air movement. Without them, gases from the animals would choke every living thing inside. Then food, mountains of it. Dried grain, roots, hay, fruits, enough for a year. Whole rooms had to be dedicated to storage. Platforms raised above the ground to avoid moisture from the dawn fog. When the inside was finally finished, with corridors, storage, and thousands of compartments, Noah had built not a ship, but a wooden city. Only one piece remained, the door, a colossal side door large enough for the biggest animals. But a door that size weakened the wall dangerously, so Noah framed it with reinforced beams that acted like the bones of a gatehouse. There were no metal hinges large enough to hold such weight, so a pivot post set into stone or a hardened socket was the most logical solution. Scripture says God closed the door, and even so, Noah had to ensure the edges sealed perfectly. When the door was in place, Noah's life work stood complete. Decades of labor, sweat, blood, mockery, and faith. And then something happened that no builder could anticipate. The animals began to arrive without being summoned. Scripture says they came to Noah, 2 by 2, some by 7s, predators beside prey, moving without hostility, birds circling before landing, reptiles sliding toward compartments as if pulled by an unseen force. Even more astonishing, each animal moved to its assigned place as if guided. Noah and his family entered last, and then in silence, the unimaginable, the door shut by the hand of God himself, sealing the old world outside, preserving a new world inside. But why had God commanded this ark? What corruption filled the earth? What giants, what fallen angels, what forbidden acts triggered the flood? To understand the lost world before the waters came, watch the film now appearing on your screen. It reveals the ancient darkness that forced God to cleanse the earth. See you there.